sense for you to go to that store in there. That's probably a cheaper price because of the market volume. Instead of coming home, you're gonna spend your money in Helena. So every business here is gonna take a hit. Not only, and then all our medical stuff is gonna take a hit. And then you're not gonna have any growth whatsoever because you've eliminated this medical facility. That's pretty much the bottom line that I see it. And it's gone on forever. And I don't see any sense in beating that horse anymore. It's dead and it's all it is bones. The one thing that I would like to know, how much did you guys get last year?
It was a $200,000 in the
It was
match.
250,
Just
I'm
250 plus the match.
so we ended up with about 320 last year.
You know, our PILT money is gonna be $628,000. And I'm kinda reluctant to give the 250. I would give the 200 and that's what we agreed, and I don't know how else you could come by this. Once we get through the budget process and the feds get done hacking us and the state gets done hacking us, the reality is we're extremely tight on money. What would it take for you to, how far would you have to go to get to, make the match come up to 290?
About 218.
218? Is there any way that we can fund that in later, or it has to be committed now?
It's committed now, and it is, the check is written in May from the county.
Just a quick budget discussion. There's been a lot of, the legislature's kind of targeted counties to budget their budget with. And to be honest with you, it's a lot easier for a legislator to pass on the cost of operations for state services to counties because we have no place to go. So a legislator can run for reelection and say, I didn't raise your taxes. Well, in the reality of it, yes, they did. They actually defunded services so that counties, in order to continue to fund whatever services we have to, and there's quite a list, have no option but to A, ask the voters to pay for more, or B, funnel money from something else, defund or get rid of something that is determined to be an essential function by person A, not so much by person B. So that's what we're facing. But every single attempt, almost to this point, that they have every threat that they have put on counties at this point to say, well, we're gonna take this away, we're gonna take this away, we're gonna hamper you with this, has so far fallen flat with a thud. Right now, there were 4 big issues. One, they were gonna give us back the public defender. That was determined to be illegal, so that's not happening anymore. Big relief to us, because how were we gonna fund that? I don't know. Right now, the threat is that they are going to pass to us the full cost of the county attorney. Right now, half of the county attorney's salary, about $143,000 a year, is paid by the state. So that is also losing a lot of steam right now. The third one is they're going to cut our entitlement share. And what that is the property taxpayers pay $100. That all goes to the state. The state skims off what they want and sends the rest back to the counties. Well, the focus right now is they're going to keep more of that entitlement share. Again, that's also losing a lot of its support. So what we're facing last week is an awful lot of fear. What we're looking forward is a little bit more light. So that's one of the things that we're trying to grapple with during this part of the budget. But the second thing is I completely lost my train of thought.
Maybe while you gain that, it's
Please,
also important for you to know, the nursing home does pay a bed tax. We contribute to the general fund as well. They've recommended anywhere from a increase of $1.80 per bed up to $5 per bed increase, which we're currently paying about $7.50 per bed.
Per night? Per night.
What's that?
Per day.
It's $8.60 right now. It's
Yeah.
$8.60 per day per per resident.
That,
So it's
that was,
about,
there's a tax exempt
No,
deal for that,
No.
taken back in the
no,
nineties.
nursing homes have to pay. The legislature passed that law. That's how it is.
It's THS, you got that tax exemption. And if they're running the nursing home,
We're a nonprofit entity, but they've chose to tax the nonprofit entity in nursing home as well.
bed tax, like a resort tax essentially, so, or your hotel tax. And that runs about $100,000 a year.
And I found my train of thought, but I'm gonna wait until Mr. Up the Grove speaks, when the chairman calls on him.
go ahead.
I appreciate the discussion moving to, we only have so much PILT money and what should we do with it? It's much more meaningful to me as a citizen. At the same time, and no offense to Wally, piggies get fed and hogs get slaughtered. Kyle might be mad at me, but if we all have tight budgets,
Sorry.
I
That
didn't mean
was
to make your
timely,
phone
though.
laugh, I don't know how that works. You know, if we can get to 200 and move on, but again, I'm so appreciative the discussion is about, we have so much money and we have all these pressures, instead of all the politics. Because to me, that's much more meaningful about what you have. To the point about, why would we do it? I mean, what you're saying is, we don't want to help those about 20 to 24 Medicaid people, most of them from Broadwater County, or the parents of people from Broadwater County. We would rather send them to Helena. I mean, Mike talked about the much bigger picture about the whole facility, but if there's no nursing home, they're going somewhere else. And if you want to visit mom and dad, you're going to go to Helena or Bozeman to see them. Those jobs, those citizens that we're supporting here is what that money's about. So, I mean, Kyle might not be mad,
No,
might
that's
be
true.
mad at his board member, but I think if we could do the 200, which is what we've really been estimating for the last 8 months as we've come to this meeting, let's do that and get on and use the money to fill your other holes that you have.
One thing I was gonna say is, the last 2 years, we pledged $35,000 a quarter to pay for the horses, the rescued horse fund. That ended up being 140 a year-ish, quick math. We don't have that anymore, that's over and done, so, you know, there's, there's opportunity with closing out that whole case.
If I could say something. Everybody over there does the best they can. We will continue to do the best we can. If we get to 200, if we don't get to 200, if we get more than 200. That is not enough money to solve all our problems. So, like I say, we'll do the best we can, and we may or may not make it. But it is not, this money is not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee that we can continue.
Before we vote on this too, I don't have any connection with DPHHS, but in the interest of full disclosure, my mother-in-law is a resident at the nursing home, and this is completely unrelated, but it's I guess it's ancillary. I do volunteer with the auxiliary board for the hospital.
We do appreciate your consideration. I know it's a lot of money, but I think the points that this is really coming out of the taxpayer pocket. Overall, that we do pay taxes and we do contribute to this economy in a huge way. We just urge your support. We appreciate it a bunch.
Any other discussion, comments?
I would like to have a motion made so that the board and folks, residents at THS at the Broadwater Health Center have a sense of what to expect from this board on this issue. One thing that gives us some ability to sleep a little better at night if we're stressed out about this is not, please do, wherever it says, this is not in stone. We can amend this. So if we go ahead and propose a number, it is something we can change here in the next 6 weeks, but we have to have the initial letter out here next week.
In view of everything that I've said here, the county gave the hospital, gave the health system $250,000 last year. Right now, our budget consensus seems to be that we're gonna remain where we were at, which means we would give $250. These people have said $218 will cover the cost. So if we give them $218, we save $32,000. We don't have the other dead horses to deal with anymore. So I will make the motion that we make the intergovernmental transfer for $218,000.
I'll second the motion.
It's moved and seconded to help money, $218,000 on this IGT transfer. Any other discussion? No other discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No, I'm still standing on my conviction of what I said earlier, so. However it matters, it's. Motion passed.
If it's okay with you guys, can we go ahead and fill this out right now and just pop this in the mail and be done with it so we don't forget about it?
We're passed on our agenda for Kirk there, so I want
Okay?
to jump in on
I'll request to bring this up later.
Kirk. He's been sitting here all patiently.
Okay?
First of all, I don't know who gave this to me, but I'm supposed to deliver it down here. So, I don't know what it is. Can I sit or do you want me to stand?
Whatever
Okay.
works for you.
I'm more comfortable sitting.
Okay.
All right, so again, I'm Kirk Flynn, I'm the Justice of the Peace here. I'm here to ask the commission for a approval for a probationary period raise increase for my Justice Court clerk. My Justice Court clerk, her probationary period was up on November 17th, 2016. I'm asking for a $1 raise, retro pay back to that date. Initially, I thought that this was going to be a meeting for a budget amendment, which I know is a bad word, because due to oversight on my part, I did not budget that into my 2016-2017 budget. But since then, I've got with Debbie Kelly, and actually due to a oversight down in that office, my clerk was scheduled for 40 hours a week on the 2016-2017 budget. And she really only works 32 hours a week. So what I gave you were some numbers on the very first page. There's a number $92,299. That was what was actually budgeted in 2016 to 2017 for wages and benefits for my office. If you go to the next page, there is a $86,841. That would be with a 50-cent raise for my justice clerk salary, and then the last number there is a $1 raise, which is $87,816, was what my actual budget would be. So what I'm asking for is an approval for a $1 an hour raise for my justice clerk, court clerk, with retrograde pay back to November 17th, 2016, and that would be a reflection of $87,816 in my total budget, which is actually going to be $4,500 less than what was originally budgeted. So my clerk has been doing a great job. She's been very valuable to my office, and also she's been very valuable to the county attorney's office. She's been cross-utilized with the county attorney and the sheriff's department in a job that's been going on for about 6 months now, which is drawing up motions and orders to destroy evidence for the county attorney and the sheriff's office. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on over there, but there is about 25 years of evidence that has been sitting in the evidence room that is just sitting there, and every single piece of evidence needs a motion and an order to destroy it. We're talking drugs, paraphernalia, keys, beer bottles, beer cans, full cases of beer, and that is completely full of
You're
everything.
supervising how that's gotten rid of, right? It's not at a bonfire.
What happens
Saturday
is
night.
every okay, it was a joke, but yes, what happens is every single motion, first of all, the county attorney has to sign a motion to destroy it. I read over the motion, and if I feel it's, most of the time it's a case that's 20 years old and they don't even know what the evidence goes to, I give an order to destroy it. The sheriff's department is supposed to come back with a receipt that they destroyed it, so it's up to the sheriff's office to go destroy it. And usually they take everything down to the vet clinic and they incinerate it. So other things, I think they make it unusable and throw it in the dump or places where it's not going to get taken by anybody else. But anyway, that's just a blurb for my clerk. She's been doing a good job, and my office can't run without her, and she's been cross-utilized, so she's actually been taking the burden off of the county attorney's office, which is, you guys know, they are very, very busy over there. So
And can she do this for, is district court separate? Or-
she's actually doing it for district
She's
court as
doing
well.
it for, oh, okay.
Yeah, she'll draw up the motions. Corey has to actually go through the motions that see what's actually been motioned to get destroyed, and either I sign it or the district court judge will sign it. So, but it's just one way that I think that the upstairs is working very well together. We're not just focused on what's going on in our office. When she has spare time, she's working on stuff that the county attorney has not had time for. So I believe that she deserves it. And last of all, right now she is actually under the 70th percentile for the wage classification matrix that we did last year. So right now she makes $12.75. According to the wage classification matrix, she should be making $15.75 to $16 an hour. So I believe this $1 an hour with retro pay is it's very well deserved, and as you see, it's not going to affect my budget whatsoever. It's actually going to I'm going to be coming in just for my wages and benefits. I'm going to be coming in $4,500 underneath that. So
I have a question, if
Yeah.
I may. First of all, my answer is yes to you.
yeah.
But I have some questions about the cross-utilization, because I think that's brilliant. And from day one of my focuses has been increasing the partnerships, building project. You know, regardless what happened there, it was about increasing partnerships, pooling your money, pooling your resources, because you get a better bang for the buck.
Right.
So my question is, our employees get a benefit of about $6 an hour for the health insurance.
Right.
Unless they're part-time. If they're 32 hours a week, I assume that's Kelsey at 32?
She is, yes.
Then it's an $8 and some cents additional benefit per
Right.
hour. So our employees who are working 32 hours are actually making more per hour than our 40-hour per week employees.
I understand that.
So with the cross-utilization, and as much as we've heard about, you know, how busy Corey and Val are in their departments, or the county attorney and district court, have you thought about increasing her to $40 or 40 hours a week, so that she again can be more cross-utilized and save the county that $2 plus per hour?
I've actually thought about that. I think it was it 3 years ago that my justice court clerk, before I was even here, I believe it was a year before, she came in and they actually asked the board to reduce her hours from 40 hours a week to 32 hours a week. I think that maybe next year it'd be something to talk about. There's always stuff to do there. I mean, right now with the city court, she's actually helping with those files as well. I'm going through every single city court file from the early 80s to see what we can destroy. I spent 2 days last week working on this project, and I got through the A's. So there's, I mean, there's 24 more letters I gotta go to, depending on how many Z's and Y's there are, but, there's always stuff to do in there. It depends where we wanna spend our money, quite honestly. I mean, if we wanted to bump her to 40 hours a week, we could find work for her. That'd be something to ask Debbie, number one, what the numbers would look like in turn, and number two, you know, when I hired my clerk on, one of the benefits to her was that 32 hours a week because of the kids she has. So it'd be something that I would have to talk to my clerk about as well to see if that was something she was interested in. But I see where you're coming from. I understand that extra $2 an hour for only working 32 hours a week can be a big deal. So I'll ask you, how many other employees are there in Broward County that are at that 32 hours just for their benefits?
I don't know, 3 is what comes to mind, unless Wynn has some in the sheriff's department. I think there's just 3.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's something we need to discuss with the budget. Yeah, you're right, there's more in the overall package,
Right.
but on the flip side of that is, we're looking at now, you know, contracting for a project right now, which is $2,500. If we end up having to do more and more contracting, are we more wise to be paying the employees we already have on staff and are already paying full benefits to?
Right.
I think it's an argument that we cannot continue not to look at.
And I'd definitely be open to it. I mean, from my point of view, it's always great to have somebody there, because one day a week, I pretty much don't leave my office just because I gotta have my door open from 8 till noon and then 1 to 5. So it's always nice to have somebody in there if I need to come down to a meeting or if I have to run over to the city office and whatnot. But I'm definitely open to it. It's whether it'd be a discussion I would have to have with my clerk and a recommendation from the commissioners as well. I mean, if you wanted to push towards that, I'd understand. But I'm just, from my point of view, I think it was 3 years ago, we voted, or you voted to knock that from 40 hours a week to 32 hours a week. I don't know what the circumstances were, whether it was to save money or whether, I'm sure it would have saved money with my last clerk because she was making $21 an hour. So I'm sure that bump from 40 hours to 32 hours a week saved the county quite a bit of money with the rate that she was getting paid. So
Yeah,
now
and it wasn't necessarily a money
Okay.
issue. It was the judge came forward and said, my clerk would like to be at 32 instead of 40, and these are the reasons why, and
Right.
he justified it. And what we do is very much try and not micromanage, but let you guys determine what's best for your office
right,
to the extent that we can. But when we are starting to look at, you know, things like no COLA, well, is it right that somebody's getting a $2+ per hour benefit somebody else isn't getting when you're looking at crunching our employees? So those are kind of some of the things that we have to grapple with now, and this is kind of one of those things that's been growing, and at some point is going to be something we have to address.
right.
So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and the, you know, if you look at the numbers for would that say I would have stuck to my original budget at 92,000, that would be her working 40 hours a week. Is that extra 8 hours that she works every week? If we have lots of stuff going on, obviously it would be beneficial. But say there isn't that much stuff going on, is that extra $5,000 or $6,000 that she would get paid, is it worth it to have her there when maybe there's not something to do? I don't know. Is that,
Right, and maybe we address it while there is, and then
Right.
see what happens, but right now it sounds like there's clearly enough. Even if she were paid for some of those hours from the county attorney's budget, some of those hours from district court,
right,
well, county attorney is still general fund. But is there a way to save money in contracting some things out
right,
if we utilize the folks we already have on payroll?
right.
So it's part of the equation that,
Well, it's
We'll have to
definitely
talk
something
about.
I'd be open to. I'll talk to my clerk about it as well. That's something I believe on, is it this month that we have a meeting to talk about our preliminary budgets?
yes,
When
Yeah.
maybe we could discuss it there.
yeah.
And I might bring my clerk down for those meetings if you feel necessary, so.
And everyone's invited, so
Right.
absolutely, I think it'd be wise.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as your $1 per hour retro, unless there's any other questions, I'd be happy to make a motion to go ahead and proceed.
A motion is made for,
It hasn't, I wanted to know if there were any questions before making such a motion.
oh, I don't know. I thought that was the motion.
No.
So we would leave her at 32 right now and then consider this 40-hour thing in next year's budget.
It'd be something to consider, and she might be open to that as well. I mean, originally when we hired for the position, it was kind of a benefit to her because she didn't have to pay an extra day of daycare, so she got an extra day off a week, she didn't have to do that, but, you know, times change and she might be very, very interested in working 40 hours a week. I mean, she has no problems working, she's a go-getter, and she makes a very good use of her time, so.
I would agree with that. Seeing as how you're $4,500 under your budget with the $1 increase, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
I will move then that we grant Kirk's request in full, $1 per hour probationary increase retro to November, whatever the date was,
17th.
17th, thank you very much.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to give JP's clerk $1 an hour raise retroactive back to November 17th. Any more discussion on it? No more discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
We're little fish, so.
Hardly. No fish are little in this pond. They're all essential functions.
Hey Kirk,
Yes.
you have to want to take Corey's water
Oh.
bill to him.
Yes, I will.
Charge him.
Thank you.
Cross utilizing.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nothing else? Recess until 1 o'clock. Let's look at what he just gave me here.